to Hatha. As I was just telling those who are live with us, today's practice is going to involve a yoga block. I have a couple different ones here up on my stage with me. If you have one at home, awesome. Go ahead and look for that. A foam yoga block is perfect. If you don't have one of those, don't panic. Just even a small pillow off the couch will be fine. Or a book even, just something you can hold in your hand, but you don't want it to be overly heavy. We're going to do a couple different things with our shoulders today, and even something as simple as a yoga block between your hands is a great way just to open up our triceps and get a nice stretch along the upper back. We're also going to try to stand on it at one point. Just remember that if you stand on the edge of the block, you will flip it. So make sure that when you do go to stand on the block today, that you stand nice and secure right in the middle of the block. Of course, if at any time you don't feel sturdy or secure on the block, you don't have to use it. You can do all the standing sequence that I'm going to show you with the block on the floor too. So we're on a pillow, like I said. But yeah, welcome. I'm so glad you guys are here with me today for this Hatha practice. It is 60 minutes and we are going to start on our backs. So I'm going to take just a quick moment here. To get my music right and going in person here for me. I have some Christmas music playing, so I'm going to switch that off and put on my yoga music. All right, so let's go ahead and head to our backs. If you aren't already there, maybe take that block with you, or like I said, your pillow off the couch. Hopefully today I've got my camera set up in a way where you'll be able to see me nicely on the stage here. But go ahead and recline back to your back. I'm gonna go flip on one more light just to get a little bit more visibility, but just take your time. We're going to open today's practice resting on our backs, taking just a couple easy, slow breaths in through the nose, and then releasing that breath back out. Today's opening intention, drawn from the box of wisdom cards from Louise Hay. As I say yes to life, life says yes to me. Life mirrors my every thought. As I keep my thoughts positive, life brings me only good experiences. Gosh, that's such a good one. As I say yes to life, life says yes to me. So the first couple moments of every yoga practice are really just set aside, especially here at SIFT, to just let you guys come on the mat. So that entering on the mat might be physical at first, just to let your back relax, your knees, your shoulders, your hips. Maybe you've got a little dull headache or a little congestion. Maybe you've got a little achiness in your low back or your hips. Whatever you might be bringing with you physically to the mat today, you can always take a moment to assess that. Decide how you're going to listen to those aches or needs in the body, and then what you're going to do to help them. Next, start to quiet the mind by taking hold of the breath. See if you can expand the belly on your inhale. Let the belly button fall down to the spine on the exhale. Let things be soft and easy. I love a Hatha practice because it not only allows us a chance to be physically in our bodies, to stretch and move, tone, exercise, whatever words you like, but it also allows that quiet space for us to turn the practice a little bit more inward. If your legs have been long down the mat, let's go ahead and bend the knees. Start to walk the heels of the feet in a little closer to your glutes. Maybe invite your right knee in towards your chest. Hug it close, point and flex the toes, roll around the ankles. You might send that left leg long if that feels good to you. Maybe your hands flip to the back of the thigh or up the calf as you take just a little gentle movement to warm up the hamstring, the ankles, the calves. And then I want you to hug that right knee back down into your chest again. This time, see if you can reach your hand maybe for the bottom of the foot. Just let that knee kind of fall out to the side and just rock around a little bit here. We're gonna play with a lot of hip movement today, giving our hips plenty of space to open and expand. And not just in your traditional pigeon. So if that doesn't feel good with bent or a long leg, you can bend your knee. Just see if you can kind of talk through that hip joint, through your piriformis, through your glutes, through your low back. And then we're gonna switch sides. Opposite knee takes its time, it moves in towards the chest. Maybe you send that right leg long as your left knee's in, you point and flex toes, roll around the ankle. Perhaps the grip switches to the back of the thigh like we did before, and we kind of play again with that hamstring. Softening that knee, hands come back down. And then you're just gonna reach for the bottom of the foot again. If you're able to, just see if you can kind of play with this hip, roll around here a little bit on the earth. Maybe the opposite knee bends just to give you a little more support. Of course, if you can't quite grab that foot, you can always grab for your shin, back of the thigh, the ankle. All right, my friends. When you feel ready, our feet come down, find the earth. We'll walk the heels in a little bit closer to your glutes, hands on either sides of the hips. Big inhale, take it to a bridge. Let the front side body get a nice, easy stretch. Maybe lifting and lowering the heels up off the ground. Gaze is soft and gentle on the ceiling. You're maintaining that breath, continuing to breathe. Last full breath. Maybe next time those heels are up, you start to lower back down one vertebra at a time. Last thing to hit the mat is the heels, and I'm just letting my arms come up and over my head. And then I'm going to stretch the legs long and take a nice long body stretch. Reach through your fingers, reach through your toes, soften the shoulders. Breathe. Heels begin to walk towards the left edge of your mat. Head, neck, shoulders lift as we begin to reach towards that left side. We can take a nice banana shape. So our side body gets an opening here. Heels begin to walk back through center. Let's send them all the way over to the right. Head, neck, shoulders lift. Arms begin to reach over to that right side of the mat. Nice long side body stretch. As you feel ready, heels walk back to the middle of the mat. Head, neck, and shoulders back to center. Bend those knees. Bring the hands down on either sides of the hips. One more round of bridge. Hips lift high. Heels stay planted. Let's breathe. Inhale, heels lift up off the ground, and then lower it all the way back down. One vertebra at a time. Take those knees, bring them into the chest, and see if you can reach just in between the legs, and maybe grab for your ankles or your shins. Let your knees kind of fall out, almost like a butterfly shape as you rest here on your back, maybe kind of rocking around. If that shape doesn't work, you can always just let your hands reach, softly around the knee area or on the backs of the thighs. Learning that asana doesn't always have to be exact, right? So let the legs straighten, bend, and then we're gonna find our way up to seat. So you can rock and roll on your spine, or just roll to one side or the other. When you reach your seat, if you have a set of blocks, let's reach for those, get them close. Decide if you need a blanket underneath the tip of your tail or a block, perhaps just to sit a little taller. Hands are gonna rest on the legs, and we're just gonna enjoy a little bit of movement with the shoulders. So lift that up towards your ears and then send it down, maybe even closing your eyes here for a moment. Let your spine grow, 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 tall to the sky. Relax those shoulders down. Right ear moves towards right shoulder. Head comes back up over spine. Let's go again. Left ear towards left shoulder. Head goes back up towards spine. Big inhale, fingertips reach up. Exhale this down to your heart. Let's go again. Inhale it up. Exhale it down. Fingers laced together. Press the palms straight forward and then just tip. You know what to do here, as if you're kind of driving side to side, feeling that side body talk to you. When you feel ready, your inhale breath will bring hands up overhead. There'll be a softness in your elbows, and you'll just tip from side to side. When you reach that center point again, let your hands break free. Reach for these blocks if you have them. One in each hand, kind of walk them to a comfortable wide V. And then I want you to let your head go side to side again. See if that does anything slightly different for your neck. Maybe your chin even comes down. I want you to listen, not to me, but to you. Where are you hiding that tension? What needs a little extra attention? What needs a little more space? Give it one or two more breaths. Perfect. Inhale, breath, hands are gonna lift. Exhale, lean right over your lap. Just let your hands reach for the floor. If you've had a block out to the side, you think it would be beneficial to maybe take that around front, maybe even drape your hands over the top of it and fall down through the middle, feel free. Especially if you feel like there's a lot of tension between your shoulder blades, this can feel really nice. Just really just soften those elbows. One more breath. Perfect. Start to bring that spine back up tall. And then we're going to turn on our mats so that we can make tabletop. If your blocks have been on your sides, take those with you. Put them up here towards the front of the mat. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Belly drops down, cat-cow. Rounding that spine. Excuse me, of course. Got a little tickle all of a sudden in my throat. Round that back. Just 2 or 3 more easy movements of the spine. And then bring it back to steady. back to center. Right leg extends nice and long out the back. And then I want you to just see if you can reach for one of these blocks with your left hand. Maybe put the block in your hand as if you were holding it like a serving tray and reach that left hand forward. If it's too much to extend it long, just do it with a bent elbow. Hold the shape. Now, again, if you don't have a block and you have something that's a little heavy, this might be significantly more difficult. So you could always do this without a block. Maybe you even add a little bit of movement to it. Warming up that core, looking for length out of that back leg. One more breath. All right, send that hand back down to the earth, put your block down. Let this knee come down and rest on the ground. Sit back onto your hips, child's pose. Again, if you liked that shoulder stretch earlier, maybe you put this block again in the middle of the mat. Let your hands drape over the top. And take a nice big stretch again for those shoulder blades. Perfect. Take your time. Let's build table on the other side. Now that you know what's coming, it should be a little easier. Left leg goes long. Take that block, flip it, reach it out. So as if it was a serving tray. I know this year looks quite a bit different for our holiday festivities. I don't have quite the hors d'oeuvre selection at my house that I usually would if I was hosting. I don't know what your favorite hors d'oeuvres are to have on hand. My husband's still requesting all of them, even though there's going to be no one at our house but us and our children. So by the new year, we'll feel nice and full, I'm sure. But imagine that tray full of hors d'oeuvres. You don't want to drop it on the ground. Give it another breath. Perfect. Start to bring that tray back down. Hand, knee go to earth, and you are back in that child's pose. Let the shoulders relax. And breathe. Inhale, breath, bring yourself back up to table. Let's take our first down dog today, shall we? So our hips lift up nice and high. We start to think about an upside down V. So that V shape that I've got drawn with my lights, that's kind of like the opposite version we want happening with our spine. Tip of your tail lifted up nice and high. Now, with downward facing dog, you'll see some people who are able to like really plant these heels on the ground. You'll see others who do this with big bends in their knees. You'll see people do it with walking legs. It's all about just finding what feels good in your own spine, getting the most you can out of the pose without hurting ourselves or causing harm. Practice of ahimsa. Slow, easy steps to the feet. We'll take our time to walk towards our hands. Maybe reach for those blocks. Lift yourself to a half lift. And then fold. Let's go again. Half lift. And then fold. Inhale, reach the hands as high as they can go up overhead. And then take it out to cactus. Hands come in and find the heart. Now, if you have a set of blocks, this next exercise, I want you to grab both. If you only have one block, I'm going to show you where to put that block. So if you have a set, you're going to put one between your knees and your groin area, so somewhere kind of just above the knees. If you have two, you can do knees and hands, or you can do just hands and no knees if you only have one. So my hands, the block is going on its kind of widest edge between my hands, and then I'm going to lift it up over my head. Now, the main reason why I'm showing it to you out here is because I know, even though I tried to position my camera, my hands are going to disappear off the screen. So I've got a little gentle pressure between my legs to hold that block, and I'm gonna allow myself to tip side to side. Now, let those shoulders stay in your sockets. So they're gonna wanna lift way out. Relax the shoulders back down. Use some oblique side body control here. And the way that we lose our obliques is by leaning forward. Then it only just becomes like really loosey in our bellies. If we can stay where our side body is what's active, you'll get some nice oblique work here as well. So gentle tension between your legs to hold that block. Kind of lost count as to how many times we've gone side to side. Hopefully you feel a little tired in your shoulders, feeling a little tired in your side wall. When you get back to center, you're gonna see if you can keep that block between your knees. Just start to bend them and sit into a chair pose. Now I'm gonna turn just so you can kind of see what I'm doing. But get into that chair pose where you're still holding that block. Now you're gonna take this really tricky. You're gonna lift your hips up, start to hinge and fold towards the floor. Let this block help you with a half lift. Holding that block between your legs. Fold. Go all the way back up. Hold this block in your hands if you're using one. Stand all the way up. Exhale into chair. Bend the knees. Hold both blocks. Keep them still. Use the inner thighs to squeeze that block. Lower down. Halfway up. Back down. All the way up. Take the block with you one last time. Once you get back up to this tall spine, lean right and left. Back to center. Right and left. Make sure you've done both sides. All right, exhale and fold. You can let go of the block that's been in your hands. If you haven't had one between your legs, go ahead and put one there. Put hands down towards the earth. And I want you to see, this is where it gets really tricky. If you can walk backwards towards your down dog without losing that block. Lift and lower on your toes. Maybe try to bend the knees. Now, if your block slips out, no worries. I didn't really plan, but I wore really great pants for this today because my pants have kind of some inner texture along the inner part of the thigh. So they're really great for holding onto this block. All right, perfect. Drop those knees down to the ground. Keep squeezing that block. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, bring the hands down to your heart. So I've still got a block just above my knees. Right hand inhales, lifts and takes a backstroke. Left arm shoots up. Hold that block. This makes you active in your legs during a camel pose. Let that right hand come back up. And let's repeat on the other side. Now I'm going to send my left arm back, kind of in a backstroke. Left or right arm shoots up. Again, I've got a little tension in that block, holding it in place. Unwind. Both hands come down, find your heart. Let them go, look for the earth. And then see, can we get back up to that down dog? Hold that block, squeeze. And then start to take small steps with your feet. This gets tricky. Hands might have to come towards you. Till you're in forward fold again. Inhale up, pause at chair. So stay in chair. Either your arms can go up or shoot straight out. I've still got that tension. I've still got my block. I hope you do too. Exhale, fold. Half lift. Exhale, fold. One last squeeze of the block as you stand up. Lift the hands above the head. Let them come out. Find your cactus. Hands come in towards the heart. Beautiful work. Reach down, grab that block. See if you can just put it in between your hands in a traditional prayer. Relax the shoulders. And breathe. All right, blinking open the eyes. Let's kind of see where you are on your mat. I'm gonna need to step forward. All right, let's put the block down as we step our right foot straight back. Maybe hands go down and look for the ground, and we put ourselves in kind of a nice big runner's lunge with that right leg back behind us. Right knee drops down into the ground. And we're just gonna play here. We're gonna lean, excuse me, lean into this left knee, and then you're gonna come off. You're gonna lean into the left knee, and then you're gonna come off. So just give it 1 or 2 more of those, really enjoying that hip flexor opening on that back leg. All right, the next time you come off of this front knee, so you've got your left foot forward, see if you can take a block maybe towards your left hand. Might even stand this block up tall. And then I'm gonna take my right arm and lift it up and over as I reach towards the left side of my body. Now I've got a block. If you don't have one, that's okay. This hand can always just kind of hang off in space, but I like a little bit of stability underneath that hand. Reaching. Perfect. Start to bring this hand back down. Look for blocks if you want to use those. And then we're just going to switch out our feet. So the foot that's at the front of the mat, go ahead and switch. The other foot up there, curl the toes under, lift it up, put yourself in that high runner's lunge for a moment first. Really absorb a chance to open up with the heart through the middle. And then the knee drops to the ground and we just go on and off. So deciding how deep feels good to you, riding that line between an active stretch and ease. So our body wants to feel important. It wants to feel needed, necessary. So when you stretch in and it feels really nice, great. But when it gets to a point where it's like, yeah, it's nice to be needed, but that need is too much, you know, you've gone too far and you need to come off. All right, the next time you come off, you got your right foot forward, so bring this right block back with you. Left hand reaches up this time. And now the left hand's reaching over towards that right side. Now what the ideal stretch here is groin, hip flexor, side wall, intercostal muscles, through the armpit, up the side of the arm, up the upper back. A lot of space for length. And then we'll come back out of that shape. Look for the blocks back down on the ground. And then you're back to either downward facing dog, excuse me, or child's pose. The one time I don't bring my water in from the car. Got a little silly tickle, I'm sorry guys. All right, when you feel ready, small steps with the feet, let them walk forward towards your hands. Find yourself half lifting, long spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach the hands high as they can go. Exhale out, find that cactus. Goodness. Hands to heart. Okay, grab one of your blocks again. I'm gonna turn just so I can face you. Remember how I talked about how we might do a little standing on the blocks? Today, I wish my blocks were really bright because it's hard. They blend in with the floor. Well, I have a gray block right here in the middle of my mat. I'm gonna take first my left foot, step into that block, and see if I can just let this right leg kind of hover for a moment. Might feel good, hands out to the side. Maybe they're on your hips. Now your next activity is that you're gonna drop and then lift. Now, some of us can drop and lift without bending the leg of that standing leg. You're gonna really feel it in your hips here in a little bit. When you first start this, you think, oh, this isn't so bad. But then you start to realize that there is so much stabilization happening, especially if you have kind of a squishy block. Those of you who are lucky enough to have maybe some bamboo or cork blocks, those are much sturdier. These foam ones are kind of squishy. You should be feeling a little tired in that standing leg. And if you get brave, you can kind of play with this a little bit. Maybe you send it forward and back, or out to the side. And if you've already fallen off your block, or you've come to notice that your block is not safe to be standing on, this can all be done on the floor. So don't feel like you have to be on that block if you want to come down. All right, one more breath. Now, when you come off that block, bring both feet down to the ground, maybe separate them out. Might feel good to do a nice big hip circle. Now, if you, I hate to say did that right, I don't like that phrase, but if you were really letting some work happen there, you probably are feeling maybe even a little achy through the hip flexor. On this left side, maybe your outer hip feels a little achy. You might have felt it in your quad. Any of those places, that's a good place. It means that you were exerting a little effort. Let's go ahead and step on the block with the opposite foot. Now, like we learned before, if your block isn't liking this, you don't have to stand on a block. But just see where you can get with your gravity first. And then maybe you start doing that hip drop. Now, you're not gonna feel it bending the knee and standing back up. You'll feel it in your legs, you'll feel it in your quad, you'll feel it in your calf, but you're not gonna feel it in that hip flexor. So if you're trying to drop the hip and pick it up, you're gonna feel it quickly in this hip flexor. But honestly, wherever you want to feel it, or wherever you think you're feeling it, that's okay, because it's a big effort in terms of balance, just to even stay here. So if you're a frustrated mess and you're ready for me to move on, that's okay too. It's a little bit of a mental workout, just as much as a physical. This side, it's like I need to flip my block over. I made it too squishy maybe. I don't know. See if you can get brave. We did last time, maybe you added a little bit of movement. Figure out where it feels good in your hands. Once you feel like you've gotten to a good spot, yep, I can see some of you stepping off your blocks and working those hips out. It gets a little tight, yeah? You're like, wow, that was a lot more work than I thought it was gonna be. Take yourself to a wide leg, get off that block. Maybe you turn sideways on your mat and you go really wide, or maybe you just kind of go like the medium, right in the middle. Maybe you take a bend in the knees and you really fold down in. You've got a block handy, so maybe that goes underneath the hands. Now what I'm gonna do next is take some big sways, because my hips still feel a little tense. So I'm gonna sway all the way to one side, pop my toes up towards the sky, and then I'm gonna use my blocks to kind of walk me all the way over to the other side and do the same thing. If your hips like that, if your knees like that, great. If that's too big for you and you'd rather just kind of lunge side to side, something bigger or something smaller, you decide. Just meet me in a forward fold when you feel ready. Head is heavy down through the middle. And then we'll start to turn the heels of our feet in towards one another. If your feet are really wide, maybe they take a couple heel toes just to get more grounded underneath of you. And then we start looking for a goddess shape. So you decide what shape's going to work for you today. Maybe your arms are out and extended into cactus. Maybe they're offered kind of in lotus hands. Maybe they're resting on the belly or the thighs. You decide where you want those hands. Take about 3 more full breaths. You could even reach for your blocks, put them in your hands. Just for another level of challenge today. All right, hinge forward, turn the toes, put yourself into a forward fold. Half lift. Exhale, fold. Walk the feet in as close as you feel comfortable with them in that forward fold. And then bend the knees and come into a squat. We're gonna put our knees together if that works for you today. Perhaps your blocks are nearby. You drop, you use them for your arms. Or you place them maybe underneath your heels if your heels are lifted. Sometimes that's a nice option. You can kind of settle in and let some of that weight shift back onto the blocks. 1 more breath. Perfect. Hands start to look down towards the earth. And then you need to decide if you're sideways like me. I'm sideways. I'm gonna kind of just walk with my hands, turn myself in my little squat, and then walk my feet back and look for a down dog. If you got props in the middle of your mat, you might move those out of the way like I have. I got all kinds of stuff laying around. Move through that shape. Right knee drops to the ground. I'm gonna be backwards, but right knee drops to the ground. Left foot turns on its inside. Spin that right knee out long behind. I'm lifting, keeping my right hand down, lifting just to the side enough to pull my left hand up. So I went from the earth and then lifted the same arm as the leg that's long. Hopefully that cue is clear. If you want to kind of play here, you can close the door and then open and rotate the chest. I hope that that visual is showing through the screen. I'm kind of turning that shoulder towards the ground, spinning on these toes, and then I'm opening it back up. See if that works for you. Maybe 1 more round. It's very playful. All right, close that door. Toes curl, hips left. Let's go the other way. Walk it out. Left knee drops. Left hand comes near the face. Right foot turns on its inside. And we open this door. And then you kind of close and rotate. And then open it again. Hip flexors, shoulders, side body, all being invited to this big party here. Not to mention it's a pretty shape. And as your body becomes more at home here on your knee and your side wall opening, usually feels pretty good too. Let's get 1 more. Perfect. Hand comes back down to the ground. Toes curl under, hips lift up. You're in down dog. All right, I'm gonna give you a strengthener here. If you feel like taking it, right leg lifts, hold a 3-legged dog, hold, hold, hold. Right foot Right knee comes forward towards right wrist. Hold and hover. Pull the chest out. Take the gaze about 6 or 8 inches in front. Rotate back on that back foot. Bring it forward. Back on that back foot. Holy cow. Plank strength here. Drop that knee down. Yes, there it is. The pigeon you might have been hoping for. There it is. Sink into that pigeon shape. Now, if you're a little bit newer to yoga, pigeon can feel kind of foreign. You've got a bent front knee, a long, straight back leg. I know you three that are with me live today, this is not a foreign shape to you. But if you're watching this in the playback, maybe you take a little time here, figure out what you need to do with this back leg to get a little more comfortable. All right, my friends, transition from that pigeon. Start to bring your chest back up. Maybe the toes curl under and you lift your hips. Or maybe you just kind of hang out on your hands and knees. You look for a child's pose perhaps, or a couple cat-cows. Maybe the front side body needs some opening, so you shift your chest and take a big up dog. You decide, and then lift it up. Left toes are high, three-legged dog, hold, hold, hold. Now you know what's coming with that plank, that hover. If you want to drop the knee at any time, you certainly can, but hold that knee forward towards your wrist. Play with that, moving back and forth. Gaze is slightly out in front. Shoulders are active. Lift that low back. Drop it into pigeon pose. Now your pigeon can stay high. You can look for props. You can drop down to more of a restful version. As I was showing the modified version before, you can bend this back knee. Find something that feels more comfortable. Or really embrace a nice deep hip stretch here, depending on how hip hungry you were when you signed up for this class today. Tuesdays 4:15 tends to be a little hip heavy, hip and low back. That's usually the request for this group. So this is a little hip heavy today. All right, last big breath. Start to bring the chest up from the floor. And then you make whatever transition makes sense to you. Maybe you're on hands and knees again. If you haven't done any front body stretching, I would suggest maybe you take an up dog. Or if that feels too big, we can lower down and maybe just take a couple cobras. If child's pose feels like a safer home for you, you can stay there. From your little tiles on the screen, I can sometimes see what you're doing. Sometimes I can tell if you want to stay in a pose or not. But just take your time. We're going to eventually transition to our seat. Working your way there. Start looking for your props again. Let's find those blocks. Bring those to the floor. All right, let your legs go long. Shoulders, arms, hands lift up, and then close as if you were a book Bringing the top cover down towards the bottom. Chest going outward towards your toes. Belly softening onto your lap. One more breath. Inhale, breath, left knee moves in towards the belly. Good, nice and close. And then your left knee is gonna fall out to the side. Now you can reach for a block if you'd like and block this left knee up if that feels good to you, or you can let that left knee go all the way down towards the ground. Your belly's gonna go again straight forward towards this leg. You're just gonna do it with one knee bent this time. For those of you with a little extra flexibility, you can always take a block towards the bottom of this foot. Give yourself a little extra space. Find a little more length. Now, not everybody needs that, and it's not a competition, so if you don't need that, don't start getting in your head. Remember, it's just yoga, right? There's plenty of other stuff to worry about. Yoga should not be one of them. Inhale, breath, chest starts to come up. Stand this knee up. Let's step it over and across that long leg. Turn your chest in the direction of this bent knee. Maybe take a little twist here. Gaze over that shoulder. Your other arm might kind of loop if you'd like. Unwind from this. Knee comes out and on, away from the top of that, and we'll switch sides. Everything's just gonna happen again in reverse or repeat onto the other side. Knees hugged in, knee goes out wide. I'm gonna switch just a little bit so you can still see what I'm doing. Chest lifts up, we fold over. Maybe we add that extra space if you need it with the block. Inhale, begin to bring this chest up. Stand the knee up. Take the chest in the direction of that knee. It can stay here, or maybe it steps over if you wanted a bigger shape. All right, perfect. Unwind from that. Chest goes back to middle. Let the legs go long. Maybe you even kind of jog the legs out a little bit here. Reach for your block. Take your block, we're gonna put it back in between the knees. So just like what we did when we were standing earlier, we're gonna walk these feet in a little closer. Hands are gonna stay back behind the hips. I've got my palms turned forward. You can turn yours outward. You can lift them up off the ground. You can extend them up to the sky, wherever you feel is best for you. A gentle squeeze between those thighs. Heart is lifted. So don't let your chest collapse. This isn't doing anything for you. See if you can lift that heart, extend out through those toes. Gentle squeeze of that block. 2 more breaths. Beautiful. Knees drop down, shift yourself about halfway down the mat. If you've got 2 blocks, keep one between your knees, take the other one back with you, head back onto your back, walk these heels close to the glutes. Let your low back settle and then lift into a bridge. Now I've still got that block there. Gentle squeeze on the block. Activation in those glutes. One more full breath here. If you're able to reach for that other block you brought with you, maybe slide it underneath of you here. Put it on its second highest edge or its lowest edge. You can relax your thighs. You can let that other block fall if you want, or you can keep hold of it. I've already lost mine. I'm done. No more need to hold on to that. Along with any other stress. Whew. Let it go. And you can stay right here. You can close your eyes and soften your shoulders. Give yourself a little more space, not only physically, but mentally here. Or I've got my block a little high. I'm going to flip mine shorter and then begin to lift my feet up to the sky. If that one feels good to you, feel free to take that space. If you're at home and you want to spin yourself in a way where your legs are on the wall, a couch, a chair, feel free to do that. Let that low back really settle down. Let your mind become nice and quiet. I'm going to take a moment just to kind of lift my shoulder blades up. Maybe even bring my arms out wide or above my head, or take a cactus. It might feel good to have just a little bit of movement in your knees, your toes. But if that inversion feels good to you, let's stay there for a few more minutes. If at any point in time your feet feel too tingly or just being upside down isn't working for you, you can always lower your feet one at a time back to the earth. Enjoy a nice restorative bridge or even a long body stretch with that block under your back. But if you feel okay upside down, maybe stay there a little longer. A little extra inversion today. Oftentimes in this season, whether it be the holiday season or just the winter in general, it's nice to flip upside down, take a little extra moment of quiet. Encourage blood flow and circulation in our lower extremities. Just let things have a gentle reset. So just take your time. As you feel ready, maybe those knees start to come back down. I've still got a block underneath of me. I don't know if you can tell. My dark colored mat, my gray shirt. But if you would like to keep that block there, feel free. Maybe the feet come down. You can take a Baddha Konasana or butterfly pose, down angle. Still with the block under the back, or you can get rid of it. You can let your legs go long and kind of star-shaped even. As I kick all my props I have, my decorations. And let your arms get big and wide for a nice front body stretch. We did a lot for your hips and hip flexors today, so give them a little extra love here. Deciding what feels good to you and what doesn't. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Slowly starting to get the feet into position if they aren't already, to remove that block. Pull it out from underneath. Listen to the body for natural next steps. Maybe, like I said, it's Baddha Konasana. Maybe it's a spinal twist where you stack your knees and lean them from one side to the other. Maybe it's a happy baby or knees to chest. Or perhaps you're ready for whatever version of Savasana, final rest, you're going to take. If you have a blanket in your space, it's a great time to reach for that. Maybe add it, even just a gentle drape across the belly or a cushion beneath the head. If you're lucky enough to have a bolster in your practice space, you can reach for a bolster, perhaps place it underneath the backs of the knees. Just take your time. Allow the next few moments to be that necessary quiet that our bodies are requesting. Softening the muscles of your face, your neck, shoulders, upper back. Slowly starting to become aware of your breath. Allowing some gentle movements back into your body as you feel ready. Maybe beginning to wiggle the fingers or the toes. Maybe even shifting all the way to your right hand side to position yourself in such a way to take side lying Savasana. Transitioning to a seat only when you feel ready. One of the luxuries of practicing at home is that you don't have to join us. You don't have to close with us. If you'd like to just stay right where you are, no one's going to kick you out. Maybe the hands come into your heart. If you do decide to come to a seat, you close your eyes and take just a moment to see how you feel. One of my favorite moments at the end of some of my teen and tween kid yoga classes is we bring our hands to our hearts, we close our eyes when things have come to an end. Maybe we gently blink and open, and we go around the circle and just see how everybody's feeling. They kind of just let me know in one word. See what you can do with this moment. What one word can you come up with? How does the body feel? How does the mind feel? As I say yes to life, life says yes to me. Life mirrors my every thought. As I keep my thoughts positive, life brings to me only good experiences. Say yes. I greatly appreciate you making this time for yourself, this self-care that is so essential right now, more than ever. May you have a wonderful rest of your day and a blessed holiday.